The Rugby Championship and Rugby World Cup year is an interesting thing. Half die-hard hellbound test match, half warm-up for what's to come, whereas most of us prepare for work by having a warm bath and a flick through Wikipedia to make sure the Soviet Union was definitely formed in 1890, the All Blacks and the Pumas this week had to ready themselves for the trials to come by flinging all they had at each other to secure what could be a history-making or record-keeping win, while still trying to hold back just enough to get them all to Japan without any injuries or revelations about the team's grand plan coming to opposition. I'd say it's a bit like doing a judo session in the bowels of hell on the morning of your wedding, but I hear that's actually part of Eddie Jones's training schedule. This was a test with a dual purpose. Whereas most games are win at all cost, this was win with some deduced VAT. So, with this in mind, what did the two teams take out of their opening test of 2019, and what have we learned about them with just 2 months until Japan? So let's start with the team that comes first alphabetically and talk about the All Blacks. Last year, New Zealand developed a new core component to their game. By deploying Damien McKenzie, the world's most Swedish-looking Maori, at fullback and beloved lightning weasel Beauden Barrett at fly half, they created an axis of two playmakers. This allowed the All Blacks to get the ball very wide, very quickly, with enormous accuracy. It allowed them to split their attack by having one operator as a fly half on either side of the ruck, to keep one of them in the backs and float the other in amongst the forwards to add some deception to their tight carries. And it also took a lot of pressure off Beauden Barrett. By having someone else to share game and team management responsibilities, Bodie was able to just focus on being himself, on running free and throwing magic balls that aren't always on. Last year, Barrett got noticeably better at running the game rather than just running, but it was all the more efficient for having a helping hand. This looked to be the All Blacks' best combination, getting the most out of each player in the backline. Then D-Mac went and got injured. This threw everything up in the air. NZ have plenty of quality players who can fill in, but nobody like for like who can fill the role McKenzie had made seem crucial. But on Saturday, we finally got to see the blueprint for how New Zealand are going to try and cope. They're going to try and fill this hole. Instead of trying to find one player who can squeeze into Mackenzie's size 7s, New Zealand looked to divide responsibilities. Half of these went exactly to the man you'd want to be in charge of any long division, with Ben from accounts acting as the second distributor and playmaker. Then kicking and game management was handled by Beauden's thunderclap brother, Geordie Barrett. We frequently saw Smith come in at first receiver or float around as an extra distributor in much the same way they used McKenzie, and the All Blacks slotted Baby Barrett in at 10 for more tactical or positional kicking, with Bodie's boot only being used for attacking-minded kicks, be they anything from chips to bombs. However, whilst this wasn't a disaster by any means, it didn't go quite as smoothly as planned. Both were operating in roles their skill sets suit, but are not their natural games. Whereas McKenzie was an age grade 10 and was comfortable at 15, Smith is used to playing a far more traditional floating fullbacks role, and Barrett is more frequently used as a strike runner than a tactics man, and didn't look to offer himself as such or organise those around him. The All Blacks have 4 games until the World Cup, and in that time they've either got to look for another option or double down and give Smith and Barrett time to adapt their games, or they'll risk not getting the most out of 3 positions. The most obvious alternative is bringing in vomit addict Richie Mo'unga and sliding Bodie back, but I'd wager at some stage this championship the All Blacks will try out Geordie at fullback, allowing him more of a roaming role, with George Bridge coming in on the wing to act as an alternate playmaker, something he loves to do for the Crusaders and Super Rugby, which I can't show you. However, a lot of this not quite going according to plan thing was because the Pumas are a big pressure team and they played this game tactically spot on. Strapping a silly pass patch to their arm to quell their insatiable offload addiction, Argentina took lessons from England and Ireland rather than South Africa. The Pumas have long since had one of the best scramble defences in the world, and it's almost significantly better than their normal defence, which is perhaps more accurately described as aggressive rather than efficient. So, they pinned the All Blacks back, saying if New Zealand wanted to score, they'd need to overcome both. Whereas Ireland kicked a chase to regather further upfield, Argentina's aim was more about limiting the Kiwi counter. New Zealand frequently dropped Beauden Barrett back when the opposition shapes the kick, letting him go, look at me, I'm Beauden Barrett, and I'm really quick and I can do rugby, and get me, I'm Beauden Barrett. Now, common sense dictates that if the opposition has one player who can break your defence in a heartbeat, it's a bad idea to kick it straight to him. And yet, Argentina typically targeted Barrett and Smith, the All Blacks' 2 most dangerous players, because by kicking right there, it made them the focal point of their kick chase. Their chase has all the time the ball is in the air to get up and prepare to tackle Benny or Bodie, rather than letting the opposition's most dangerous player find space away from the chase, ready for the ball to be flung into their hand and them to run into it. This is doubled by the Argentine decision to keep the trajectory of the kicks low, making the ball bounce near the cover, ideally forcing them to turn and regather, halving the time they have to make a decision on what they're going to do before they're engulfed. This took their best counter-attackers out of the game for just a phase, but that's all the time Argentina needed to set a proper defensive line, not the broken field a kick provides. In the end, the All Blacks' 2 tries were a brain fade and a brain fart from the Pumas, both incredibly preventable. It's classic All Blacks, just taking the chances they're given, but that Argentine aggression actually helped close down the All Blacks on a few more occasions, preventing them using a few overlaps and chances you feel 4 years ago they definitely would have converted. Because this becomes the thing we're yet to learn about the All Blacks. Are they good enough? They can certainly win games, but this was still a very strong Kiwi team, and they got pushed to just 5 metres shy of all the way by the team currently ranked 10th in the world. Because whilst there still may be questions over how composed the All Blacks are and how good the Pumas are, one thing we have learned for certain, if we didn't know it already, is that this World Cup is going to be the most open in probably decades, and that's going to make it a very interesting thing indeed. Thank you for watching this thing that you just watched. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it really brightens your day. So this is obviously the first video on the Rugby Championship for 2019. And I want to use this Rugby Championship as a chance to kind of trial run what I want to do during the World Cup, because obviously World Cup is, contains a lot of rugby. There's 48 odd games. And it's easy to forget this channel is one person writing, editing, recording everything. And I won't humanly have the time to break down every game in the way I did, New Zealand, South Africa last year, or a number of the games of Six Nations, so England, Ireland, England, Wales, etc. So instead for this one, for example, I just focused on a couple of key talking points, so Argentina's kicking game and New Zealand's second playmaker thing. For the South Africa-Australia video, which will be coming up in the next couple of days, I've just looked at a handful of key players, so it's mostly just the tries I've broken down. So please let me know what you think of this as a format, because this is what I'm looking to do during the World Cup. It just knows to make it more consumable and easier for me to actually manage and get through as many games as possible and still manage to cover them, hopefully in some detail, rather than just flitting past them. So thank you for watching that. Thank you to everyone that supports the channel on Patreon, and thank you to Find a Player. There's stuff floating around here. If you are interested in playing and sport, then you can use that app, download it and get involved. There's a Squidge Report page if you want to use that. There's a password floating around there. Otherwise, I'll see you very soon for the South Africa breaking down of the handful of plays against the Australia